Good to have you here, 3 and out. All across the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett, Ben Troop. Glad you're with us here on the show. So much to get to here on the program. We'll talk with Dexter Carter, Super Bowl 29 champion with the 49ers out of Baxley, Georgia. We'll get to his thoughts on who's left in the playoffs. Could it be a 49ers Cinderella story moving forward? Also, Charlie Campbell, Walter Football will join us. We'll talk a little draft with him. Our good friend Jason Longshore, soccer down here in the Atlanta United Radio Network, will join us coming up in just a little bit as well, as World Cup qualifying resumes tonight as well. But, fellas, it has been a busy day for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Do they have their coach? Do they not have their coach? Is the GM in? Is Trent Baalke out? Our next guest will hopefully shed some light on it, if there's light to be shed, as of 3:05 this afternoon. Chris Porter, First Coast News in Jacksonville, joins us. Chris, welcome to the show. How are you?
What's up, fellas? I'm doing good. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, man, we're doing fantastic. This is a lot of, as the world turns here with the Jags, they want Byron Leftwich. Don't know if they can get him because of the GM situation. Their second choice is now the head coach at the Bears. What is going on in Jacksonville today?
Well, listen, man, my sources told right in early this morning that it's no doubt the Jacksonville Jaguars that wanted Byron Leftwich, as we reported it Monday night during our 11 o'clock newscast. There is a holdup, I'm told. And the biggest sticking point is the general manager, Trent Baalke, who's currently with the Jaguars. Leftwich wants his guy. His guy is Adrian Wilson, played for the Arizona Cardinals. He is now their man out there, vice president of pro scouting. He's a guy that's worked his way up through that organization. He's also in their Ring of Honor. Now, we also seen reports that it's pretty much a deal as far as Adrian Wilson coming to Jacksonville. One of my sources just texted me a second ago and said the Jags legal team are looking over the contract, giving a counter offer, that kind of thing. You know how negotiations go, but that's to be seen. Now, when that domino falls, you would think it would then make perfect sense for the team to move forward and then bring if that is the guy that Leftwich wants to be the GM. Now, I know people are listening today. You're probably saying, if the Jacksonville Jaguars should be good at anything or should know how this game works, that is hiring a head coach and a GM, because it seems as if not every year, every other year, we're in this position. Me personally, I think this should have been wrapped up on yesterday. Me personally, if you're Byron Leftwich, I'm not saying this is what it is. We know he wants the GM, but it's also boiling down to money, especially when you see somebody like Matt Rule, who's the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, who's getting $9 million a year and had done things. All right. So again, where we're at now, Adrian Wilson we're being told that's going to happen at some point, hopefully today. Then I'm thinking once that domino falls, then we'll get Byron Leftwich to come on back home, if you'll let me say that.
Well, you mentioned it there. Maybe we see something today. I believe the Broncos have hired their coach. The Bears. I mean, is there a timeline here? Is there a sense that we better get this done by the weekend or have some sort of an answer here soon?
Well, I tell you what, when you started the day with 9 NFL teams needing a head coach, and 2 of those teams have found their head coaches, and now you're the Jaguars, one of the 7 that has not. And then when you consider that we were being told that Nathaniel Hackett was supposed to be in Jacksonville today interviewing for this job for a second time, if there's a man that you want to get, you better put a move on it. Because now we understand that the New Orleans Saints are in the mix for Byron Leftwich, that he's interviewing with the Saints for that vacancy there. So you would think the team would have a heightened sense of urgency. And also, listen to this. This is a major. They're saying this is going to be an exhaustive search. It's going to be a thorough process. I get it. This is, in my opinion, the most important hire for Shad Khan, because you got this kid, Trevor Lawrence, who everybody's saying is this generational quarterback who in his last 10 games did not look good at all except in the finale. So you need the Leftwich thing would make sense, because you need somebody to come in and to fix Lawrence in the offense.
I mean, Chris Doyle, Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow. Why is it when it comes to Shad Khan? I mean, somebody is giving this is somebody's throwing him an alley-oop, and he's like, no, man, I'm not gonna take the easy bucket. At the end of the day, I mean, you talk about a guy like Byron Leftwich, Chris, how much do he right a lot of wrongs and kind of make Shad Khan look like he know what the hell he's doing?
You know what? I think the simplest way to answer your question without being on here, and taking up all of you guys' time, is dysfunctional organizations do dysfunctional things. And the biggest example that I can give you is if Leftwich is your guy, and if his stipulation is for Balky to be fired, put somewhere in the organization, I think you need to fire him, and he wants Adrian Wilson. Why haven't you done everything to make that happen and close the deal? But then I have to say, Chris, you've been here 13 years. Shad Khan has been the owner for a while. Dysfunctional organizations do dysfunctional things.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. And as you said, the Jags, if what you said has been reported that the Saints have entered the chat, so to speak, on Byron Leftwich. I mean, you could be talking about the three guys you've allegedly interviewed the most, not landing any of them. I mean, and we talk about this in college football all the time. You don't want to publicly go out there and say we settled for our fifth or sixth choice, and that's essentially what would happen to the Jags if they can't land Byron Leftwich.
And they will look bad, because my sources have told me Byron Leftwich has been the guy from the beginning. That in fact, when he interviewed with Shad Khan and the rest of the top brass on Monday, he blew them away. He blew Khan away. He was extremely impressed with Byron Leftwich. And also, the thing with Nathaniel Hackett, reports saying he's going to Denver, and then Matt Eberflus going to Chicago. If those two guys, one of your top three picks, and Leftwich is the top pick, what are we waiting on? Make a move. I mean, and of the three, you would be hard pressed to find someone who I think would want the job more. Not even considering that Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback. He's played here. He knows what the fan base is like. He knows how passionate they are here. He knows what it takes to win in Duval. I think he would be the guy. Besides the fact, when you look at what he's done as an offensive coordinator down in Tampa Bay, and I know people are going to say, hey, how can you be spectacular when you have Tom Brady? Forget his first year, you had Jameis Winston. And all Jameis Winston did was throw for more than 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns. His only problem was he had issues with interceptions. And Bruce Arians has said it time and time again, Leftwich runs the offense. He is the man. Jaguars. This guy's Jaguar through and through. Make the deal. Close the deal. Close it.
To that point, Chris, I mean, how frustrated are the fans getting where you have a great hire right there and you just have these holdups, like you said, dysfunction? How frustrated are the fans at this point?
Let me go to my phone right quick. Let me roll. This morning, at around it had to be around 7:25, 7:30. I tweeted the fact that my sources telling me that Leftwich wants to job, but the holdup is he wants Trent Baalke out, right? Since then, this tweet has gotten 1,685 retweets, 3,523 likes, 281 quote tweets, and every Jaguar fan is saying this. What is the holdup? We want this guy. Leftwich is the dude. They have been clamoring for Shad to make the move since we found out that he was one of their top three. They are just waiting on Khan to seal the deal.
And Chris, even bigger than the fans, what does it say to the players? If you are Trevor Lawrence, they know who Byron Leftwich is. They know what he's done the last 2 years for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you are Josh Allen and, kind of like guys are going to be here for a while, what does it say to them? We're like, look, man, we're not just football players anymore. We're informed football players. We actually got social media accounts. We know what's going on. Why not do it for those guys who actually got to go out there and strap it up every Sunday?
You know what? If I were a player on the team and considering all the things that you said about Leftwich, and you didn't say that he would be relatable to this current roster, this young roster they have across the street, it makes you question, the vision and the plan for the organization. Because as you said so eloquently there, they are well versed in what's going on. They're on social media. They know Byron Leftwich. I mean, this guy is a two-time Super Bowl winner as a backup in Pittsburgh behind Ben Roethlisberger, and then last year with the Bucs. And we know nothing else from last year. What ended up being our team's strength was the defense, which we thought would be the weakness, and our offense was just anemic. It was terrible. Trevor did not look like a kid who was the first overall pick in the draft. And it just makes common sense to get a guy who has proven that he can call offenses. He's been in the top 4 his offenses since he got to Tampa Bay in 2019. It just goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. I don't want to sound like I'm repeating. It just really makes the players really begin to think and probably believe, man, when is this dysfunction going to end?
I mean, Chris, when it's all said and done, you talking about you hopefully they'll have a decision by the day or tomorrow. Do you have to go out there and get you an Adam Schefter type phone? Because I'm pretty sure the one you got now, it just stays blowing up.
Hey, listen, I knew this was big when Twitter sent me a message asking, would you like, because you're getting so much response, for us to set up a filter for all of your notifications? I told them no. That's all I've been doing all day. I'm stuck to the phone, reading, calling, texting, doing whatever I can, because you want to be the first to break the news. So I told Twitter, if I don't need an Adam Schefter phone, I'll just try to keep this. I don't know if I have the I-12, I-13, one of them. So far, so good.
Chris Porter, First Coast News, joining us here on a 3 and Out. Chris, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Call me anytime, guys.
Appreciate it. Chris Porter joining us. And again, he's saying hopefully get done maybe today or tomorrow. Reports are that Trent Baalke will be out. Maybe they're trying to work on that and get Leftwich guy in at GM. But as he said, Jags have been a dysfunctional franchise for a while. And certainly this year was the highlight of dysfunction, where you had head coaches telling guys, no, don't go back in the game real quick. That's just a highlight of it. And now something that should be as straightforward as a coaching hire can't even be done without having to get some kind of concession that the GM needs to go or things of that nature. And it just seems like it can't ever be easy if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan watching this thing play out, where there's a guy who wants the job. Like, to be Byron Leftwich wants the job, former Jaguar, and you can't get it done, at least not in a timely manner.
Yeah, and it's like Chris said, what are you waiting for? Close the deal. And if you're a Jaguars fan, you've dealt with just so much dysfunction, again, to use that word, and I don't understand. I don't understand. You're talking about a great hire. You're talking about a move that would energize the fan base. If you're a Jacksonville fan, Chris said he's getting all the mentions, and you see it. If you go on the message boards or the blogs or social media, fans are frustrated. Fans want Byron Leftwich, and they want to know what the holdup is.
I think at the end of the day, the one thing that Chris is expressing is frustration from all sides. You talk about the fan base, you talk about the players, because people are asking themselves, why wouldn't Byron Leftwich come in and say, hey, man, I want to be the head coach of Jacksonville, but he talking about the Matt Rule situation. I think I think my resume is, way more suitable than Matt Rule, so I want to make what he's making and more. And I want to do it with my guys, Adrian Wilson, because the one thing that we keep on saying is resonating with the players. You want to win. What makes players go out there and want to play for you when you understand them as people as well as players? And who wants to work with Trent Baalke? What about Trent Baalke makes you think he can get it done? Nothing. So name a person that comes into a new job, or you want to hire me to run your company. I'm not going to come in with demands. You don't want to meet my demands. That means you don't want me. And like you said, Kevin, keep on, you're going to find yourself in a Tennessee situation. 2 years ago, you got the 12th guy, in your Rolodex who just happened to not change his number yet. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see how this continues to play out. We'll get you the very latest if something happens there with the Jacksonville Jaguars search, and we'll talk with Demetrius Harvey coming up of Big Cat Country in the final hour. Maybe there's a new head coach by then. Maybe there's a new GM and not a new head coach. We'll have to wait and see, but Demetrius Harvey will join us final hour of the program. Still to come, Charlie Campbell, WalterFootball.com this hour will join us. And when we return, Dexter Carter, Super Bowl 29 champion, running back with the 49ers. We're talking playoff football with him here on 3 and Out. 4 left in the National Football League playoffs. We'll know who's in the Super Bowl following Sunday's games coming up. Our next guest, he knows what it's like to be in that Super Bowl setting. Won a championship, Super Bowl 29, as running back there with the 49ers out of Baxley, Georgia. Dexter Carter joining us here on 3 Now. Dexter, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good, guys. Hey, pleasure being with you again.
Hey, appreciate you coming on and joining us. And certainly we had a wild weekend of games last week. The 49ers going on the frozen tundra of Lambeau and winning. How hard is it to win games on the road like that in the postseason? Do people understand certainly what that environment's like when you're in the playoffs trying to go beat a team on the road like that?
You know what? The 49ers, whether it's home or away, the 49er fans, they travel, and they travel well. But still, it's difficult playing at the opposing team's home, especially when you're in Green Bay with the weather like it was. But the 49ers proved once again that they can go into the enemy's territory and play power football and have bad weather and run their game plan. I mean, it was incredible going into Green Bay, quite confident, after winning 5 straight games and going in there and winning 6 straight and having a pretty good record against man, I don't forgot the quarterback's name.
Aaron Rodgers.
Green Bay's quarterback.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, yeah, Rodgers hadn't, done too well, but you still can't underestimate it. But at the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan took a ball club in there, and with that bad weather, you got to do a couple of things really well. You got to play power football, and you got to run that football, and that's what they did. That's what they hang, their wins and losses on is that running game, and they ran very well and was able to come out, in that, cold weather game, with another victory and another go at the NFC Championship game.
And not only to win in Green Bay, but to win in Dallas before that. I mean, you think about traditional franchises, you think about tough places to play, to go and win in Dallas, then to go and win in Green Bay. How impressive is it to do that back to back?
It is very impressive, and that's why they're a confident ball club going into, LA and playing the Rams. They've been very fortunate against the Rams the last couple of games, but then again, it's the NFC Championship game, and you got to go in and you got to take it because the Rams are playing very, very well with Matthew Stafford. OBJ is coming around and found his place in that offense. So they've got some stars all around that Rams team. But I tell you what, the 49ers they're coming in there with some stars too. So it is going to be very, very exciting.
Kyle Shanahan is the guy that seems just understands offense, but he seems to understand like how this team, just rallies around, just being able to play that underdog role. You talking about San Francisco coming in with some guys that can play. I mean, Deebo Samuels, George killing that defense, but they playing against a Rams team that they've already beat before. How much more confidence, Dexter, do you have knowing that, listen, we've already played this team before and beat them? The stakes are obviously a little higher this time, though.
It's a little higher, and we beat them in San Francisco. So, it is a bigger challenge, although we've done well in Dallas this postseason and in Green Bay, but it's still another big challenge going into L.A. L.A. went out and got Matthew Stafford for a purpose, and that purpose has proven true thus far as him leading them to, the NFC Championship game, but then, Goff as quarterback led them to the Super Bowl. So Matthew still got another step to go. But those 49ers, man, you look at every position. Kittles never raises his voice if he's not catching the ball. If he's got a block, he'll block. But when he's called upon, he lets loose and just becomes one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends in the league. And then, and then early on, we lost literally 2 or 3 of our running backs, and we had to rely on a rookie, Mitchell, to come in and who has played very, very well. But then Kyle Shanahan figures out, hey, I got an all-purpose Deebo Samuels that can play anywhere I put him. So you know what? They are riding high because they can put the ball in Deebo Samuel's hands. People can know they're putting it in his hands. And with that offensive line led by Williams at that left tackle spot, they are making it happen. I mean, they just got to go out there and just continue the game plan to play power football and run the ball regardless. Kyle Shanahan believes if he can run the ball 35 to 40 times a game, there's nobody can stop that offense. So, and as long as Garoppolo minimizes, hopefully eliminates the turnovers, because when you're going up against, that great defense, we cannot have those turnovers. And especially now with Matthew Stafford really hitting on all cylinders, it's going to be hard to go in there and win with having turnovers.
Dexter Carter joining us here on 3 Down. And Dexter, you mentioned just run the ball, and the 49ers certainly do that well. Speak to the importance of the run game, where so much we're talking about these quarterbacks, and last week it's big throws to set up game-winning field goals. But how important is the run game, and how do you feel it's kind of getting overlooked at times now in today's game?
You know what? Now the rules are set up, for the aerial assault, to throw the ball. So that's why it's so awesome the way Kyle Shanahan is making it important and putting the emphasis on the running game, regardless of what happens. I know Garoppolo's stats don't look great, but right now at this particular time, Garoppolo is the right guy to be in there, because one, he is pretty efficient, and his win-loss record speaks for itself since he's been in San Francisco. And we are run first, pass second team. And if you look at the Bills, and you guys mentioned earlier about, I believe you said something about the weekend of football. Man, this was I play in 100 NFL football games, and I value the games that we played. Played in 4 NFC championship games, fortunate enough to win one and go and win the Super Bowl. But I tell you, this weekend was incredible, the talent and how competitive it was. And one of them specifically focused on that run game. You look at Buffalo. Buffalo has a good running game, but what I love about Buffalo, unfortunately they lost, but they have a quarterback that can literally run like a fullback, so they put the emphasis on the run game. Even though they've got a good running back in Singleton, they make sure that their quarterback knows that he has the option to run the ball when he feels he needs to. And that's why this weekend, I know the Rams want to get that running game going with Akers. And I love my Florida State guy. He runs the ball well, and they have a good running game. But I think if we go out there in that good LA weather, and again, make sure that we know, we don't care if they know we're going to run the ball, because we have the linemen now that can block and can power, use that power game. Now, Arnold is going to be tough. I mean, that defensive line is off the chain, very, very good, as well as our defensive front, or our entire front seven. But at the end of the day, Deebo Samuels is going to get his carries, and Mitchell is going to get his, and we're going to run the ball, and we're going to put an emphasis on it. So it's going to be tough. But I think, you know what, the 49ers going into LA, again, it's hard to beat a team more than twice in one season, and it's hard to beat them 6 in a row. But you know what? Hey, we got to go in there and do what we got to do, and I believe the 49ers will do it, but it will be tough, and we cannot have turnovers and expect to win, though.
94, 95, you guys obviously had incredible talent on the championship team. But in addition to talent, when you look at these 4 teams trying to win it all, what did championship teams have to have besides just great players?
Well, having great players, you got to have. And you got to have complete execution and belief in the system. And you got to know when to call plays, because you just can't call a play and expect it to happen. Kyle Shanahan has a way in which he calls plays, and I don't know if you guys heard, but I think last week, usually coaches already script the first 15 plays of the game. We did that back in our day. And I love doing it when I coach high school or youth football. But he had the first 23, I believe, plays scripted, and it was half and half. I think it was one more run than pass, and that goes to show you the emphasis on the running game. So you can have great talent, but the way in which you call the plays to kind of create the defense to be off balance, that's going to be very, very important, because if you let Arnold get to Garoppolo one too many times, and then you got, that whole defensive front, we've got to stop, because Garoppolo doesn't throw very much, but we surely don't want him hurt because he's being hit. We cannot, if we do what Cincinnati, what happened to Cincinnati, even though they won, we cannot have Garoppolo being sacked 9+ times and expect to win the game, regardless of how good our running game is. So if we run the ball 45+ times, then I don't think the Rams will have a chance to, sack us 9+ times. I think our offensive line is just too good for that.
And Dexter, how satisfying is it when you talk about these wide open offenses? Now they got the rules set to where you can't touch a receiver's 5 yards, past the line of scrimmage. If it just comes down to solid defense, running the football, good special teams, get a win, and get back to the Super Duper Bowl.
Absolutely, that's the remedy. You put it in a box right there. If we can do that, because one, in the playoffs they have let them get away with a little bit. A little, more hand checking than normal, and I kind of like that, let the game be won on the field. But I think both teams are talented enough to where it's going to be very, very competitive, even if they let some things go on that back end. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be a game to remember. This season has just been crazy. One, we just did sneak into the playoffs, but we started. It reminds me of our 91 season, which was the only season we did not make the playoffs. But we won 10 games, but we started out really bad. And although we didn't make the playoffs, every team in the NFC was happy that we did not make it, because we were on that run. Now, the only thing different now is that we weren't in that bad of a win or loss column where the 49ers got on the run at the right time, but they won enough games to get in the playoffs. So they're spiking at the right time.
Dexter Carter, Super Bowl 29 champion, our guest here on a 3 and Out. Dexter, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you, guys. You guys take care.
We'll do. Dexter Carter joining us here on 3 and Out, and the 49ers and Rams this weekend for the right to go to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC. We'll come back. We'll talk in pro football with Charlie Cable of Walter Football. Going to hit the draft with him next here on 3 and Out. Be here with you on this Thursday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. Of course, 4 teams left playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Everybody else looking ahead towards the draft. Our next guest from Walter Football's got some early thoughts here on the NFL draft. Charlie Campbell joins us here on 3 and Out. Charlie, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Hey, we're doing fantastic. And but before we get into specifics with how teams are looking here early in the draft, what's the best position you see here on the big board? Like, where is there the deepest spot you're going to get the most value if you're looking down the board?
Well, this year is similar to recent years in terms of really good wide receiver talent. It's just every year it seems like college football is just pumping out one good class of receivers after another. So definitely teams that are looking for receiver help in the middle to late portion of the first round are going to find some really nice values. Edge rusher is deep this year as well. A lot of good young edge rush prospects for the first day and into day 2. And then otherwise, other than those 2 positions, cornerback is probably not quite as good, but it has some depth as well for the first couple of days of the draft.
Charlie, the Jacksonville Jaguars there at number 1. Again, last year it was obvious, take Trevor Lawrence. What's the best option this year?
Well, I think the best option would be if Kenny Pickett caught fire as a prospect and really pumped up the value of that number 1 pick, created a trade market, and allowed them to trade out of that spot for a boatload of picks in years to come to really load up the roster with early round talents around Lawrence. I think that's the ideal situation for the Jags. Now, yeah, that's incumbent completely on Kenny Pickett or maybe Malik Willis, but one of these guys kind of becoming that kind of prospect at the Senior Bowl and Combine and in the meetings that warrants that market to heat up. So it's really out of the Jags' control. So that is the best case scenario for them to trade out and get a lot of picks for drafts in the future. But if they're forced to stick and pick, I think the options come down to an edge rusher like Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon Thibodeau or offensive line help. But I think that of those, if they're forced to stick and pick, I think going with an edge rusher to pair with Josh Allen would provide them a better value than the offensive linemen available.
You have the Falcons selecting Jordan Davis out of Georgia. Obviously he's a dominant player at Georgia, but how good of a fit and how soon do you see dividends being paid off with a player like that, for which he's going to be asked to do a lot for a very, 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 very bad defensive line?
Yeah, I think he'd be a plug-and-play upgrade for the Falcons in terms of really upgrading their size and physicality up front. And if they're playing in a 3-4 set, you can put him at nose. He has enough length. He's so tall. You could even play him at 5 technique. In a 4-3, he can be your nose tackle. He can 2-gap it and eat up blocks. Free up your linebackers and edge rushers. He can also get some push in the pass rush. He's never going to be a prolific sack guy, but he can be a disruptor in there and a guy that shuts down the interior rushing attack and gives them a nose tackle that can eat up a guard and center and help free up Grady Jarrett to get after the quarterback as well. So he would just really be a plug-and-play upgrade in terms of size, physicality, toughness, and meanness at the point for the Falcons. And I think that's something they've been missing.
Charlie Campbell, WalterFootball.com, joining us here on 3 and Out. Charlie, when you do these evaluations in a situation like Jacksonville where they haven't hired a coach yet, you think it's going to be Byron Leftwich? Does the thinking change about the number 1 pick? I know you had Kayvon Thibodeau to the Jags. Does it change if it's Byron Leftwich, maybe more offensive-minded head coach, as opposed to if it were somebody else?
No, not really, because really we've seen a lot of coaches that come from one side of the ball take a player in their first draft that comes from the other side of the ball, a prospect. So, I don't think that will have a big impact on what the Jags do in terms of preferring an offense or defense player, because I think they're really just going to be targeting the best player available if they're forced to stick and pick. And looking at their draft as a whole, will they be able to get offensive line help at the top of the second round, or do they go with an offensive lineman first and then take a pass rusher at the top of the second round, or go with a different position? So I think teams, they'll look at the draft collectively and how they can improve their teams with their picks as a pair, especially when you're picking high on day one and day two. So I think the Jags are in a good spot there if they are forced to stick and pick. But I think there's a decent chance that Kenny Pickett will really rise over the Senior Bowl and help to start create a market for that pick.
With the Falcons at 8, I know you have in your mock them taking Jordan Davis. Is there a specific need like defensive line where they should focus, or are the Falcons in a position where they should probably just go best player available overall at 8?
Sorry, you're breaking up there. What was that?
I was going to say, with the Falcons at 8, is there a specific need they need to address, like defensive line, potentially with Jordan Davis, or depending upon what happens in front of them, could the Falcons just take best player available, whether it's a safety, a defensive lineman, an offensive lineman, et cetera?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think with where they are, they can take the best player available. I don't think there's really a position outside of tight end. They got that locked down for a long time with Kyle Pitts. So, but aside from that, and there isn't a tight end worthy of going that high this year anyway. So really, I think all options are on the table for them. They could consider a safety, like you said, and Kyle Hamilton to go with Richie Grant, or they could consider a cornerback to go with A.J. Terrell, whether it's Derek Stingley or Trent McDuffie or Saucy Gardner from Cincinnati, all really good players. Edge rusher there could be another consideration. So they definitely have everything on the table for them. And I think knowing how they attacked the draft last year with Kyle Pitts, where they took the best player available, even though it wasn't a position that typically goes that high, I think that just is a sign of how this team will draft, and they're not going to reach, and they're going to go for true talent at that spot.
Charlie, when you think about how fast these quarterbacks come into the league out of college and they're already making, paying dividends for their teams, you look at a Joe Burrow, you look at a Mac Jones, and you talk about Kenny Pickett and what he can do for himself at the Senior Bowl. How much easier is it for these evaluators when you got a quarterback who you probably can reach for, who could potentially, change the whole dynamic of your team?
Yeah, I think that with the way the success that Burrow has had, I think that helps a guy like Kenny Pickett, who, like Burrow, kind of is a one-year wonder. Even though Pickett had more starting experience earlier, he wasn't the dominant player that he became as a senior. And with Joe Burrow having a skill set that is kind of similar to Pickett in terms of their size, arm strength, I think Pickett might have a bit stronger arm, where Burrow might be a little bit better athlete and a little bit better runner, but both bring, running and throwing ability to the table. I think I've spoken with team sources about Pickett and Derek Carr's and other comp that comes up with him. The good and the bad with Derek Carr can be kind of seen in Kenny Pickett. So I definitely think, and teams have told me he's a really good kid, and he's a hard worker, super competitive, good teammate, takes care of his offensive linemen. So I can see him really interviewing well and really convincing some coaches and GMs that he's the guy for them, and being a player that really rises in the Senior Bowl and combine meetings.
Charlie Campbell, WalterFootball.com joining us, and maybe it is Kenny Pickett, but interested to see, Charlie, who's a guy that you think teams are going to start putting stuff out there that they really like? It seems like in any draft, obviously there's misinformation and guys will get hyped up, and who's a guy that you think is going to get a lot of hype coming out of the Senior Bowl and really try to be used to drive a market for maybe it's quarterbacks or whatever?
Well, as far as at Senior Bowl, I think the other two top quarterbacks to watch there are Sam Howell at North Carolina, or from North Carolina, and Malik Willis from Liberty are both guys that could rise. I wouldn't be surprised if they both, make a real push starting at Senior Bowl and then through the Combine and Pro Day with good workouts and interviews, because I've heard good things about both of them on the character and work ethic front. They both have some, ability in terms of dual threat ability. Obviously, Willis is a really dynamic runner. So I think both of those guys could end up being risers through the process as well. And then for some early entry guys that aren't at the Senior Bowl, I think Drake London from USC and Ahmad Gardner, Saucy Gardner, the cornerback from Cincinnati. I think those two could be risers through the process as well. I know some teams that are really high on those guys.
Charlie Campbell, WalterFootball.com, our guest here on 3 and Out. Charlie, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Great being with you guys.
Hey, appreciate it. We've got more to come here, 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Great to be here with you on this Thursday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben. A lot to get to still to come on the show. Jason Longshore will join us next hour. Talk about the World Cup qualifying resuming tonight. Apparently, the debut of a new game. Do you know what
I
you
heard.
think you know? No, I don't.
Wait. You
Chris
can't
said-
preemptively
I'm
answer
sorry.
the question. Like, you don't even know how the game works.
What game on this show have I been
You've
successful
been on a
at?
winning streak. Hasn't he won?
He has one.
Ben is the one.
I
that's
know.
on the
I
winning
won.
streak.
I've won one Jeopardy in my lifetime, and we need to go back and I need to archive that show. That because I don't win many. But Kevin, this gonna be in your wheelhouse. It's gonna be what you
Completely
know.
new
A
game.
new game. All right, that'd be.
What's it called again?
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what you think you know?
It should be called. I'm not gonna do what you think
Yeah,
I'm gonna do.
Which is flip out and
You
lose the game.
know? All right, I got some inside info on this game. Apparently,
Okay.
the questions are going to be specifically catered, like your baseball guy,
All right,
baseball question. That should make you feel better.
it doesn't, because I always feel like there's an ulterior motive. to
No,
the
Kevin said.
question,
I don't know. Kevin said. I know the answer.
I
don't like being- Kevin said, I don't like the
time.
time clock and being put on the spot. Kevin said that's not what he does well.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't do that. No, I don't. Speaking of being put on the spot, Jag's been put on the spot. Some reports that maybe it's getting close. We'll chat with Demetrius Harvey of Big Cat Country coming up in the final hour, and it may not be some official news by the time we talk to him, but some reports that maybe it's at least coming to a conclusion, maybe this afternoon.
That'd be
At some
great
point,
news.
so.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that. We'll come back. We'll take three on the flip side of this break. It's 3 and Out all across Southern Pigskin Radio Network. I'd love to hear from you on Twitter at Pigskin Radio. We are streaming live, ESPNcoastal.com. You can also catch us live video streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Take 3 coming up next. Hour 2 here on this Thursday. So much to get to here on the show. Apparently, a lot of folks thinking that in the next little bit could see Byron Leftwich named the head football coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So a lot of outlets over the last couple hours have been saying that. We'll talk to Demetrius Harvey coming up top of the final hour from Big Cat Country and see if maybe it's finalized by then. But we'll let you know as soon as something happens there. Also talk with Jason Longshore this hour. World Cup qualifying resumes tonight for the U.S. men's national team. He will join us to talk about that. We've got a new game, something to rack our brains with. Do you know what you think you know? We'll debut that this hour here on the show as well. But first, let's take 3 here on 3 and Out. All right. Star quarterbacks from the 2004 draft. Ben has said Big Ben is the last holdout of that 2004.
That's your class.
That's
right?
the homie, right? That's the homie.
He made it 18 years.
Come on.
In the National Football League. Ben is very proud that someone from his class made it 18 years.
I mean, better him than this.
Wow.
He a better man than me. He a better man than me. What? I mean, I'm just saying, some of us got it in us and some of us had to get the hell out.
But of the star quarterbacks from that class, you got Eli Manning, Philip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger. Rank it out how it turned out there out of that class, Ben.
Listen, that's one of the best draft classes in NFL history. I'm not biased at all. No.
Number 40 overall.
No, I will say this. BJ, it's always, you talk to BJ and Kevin before the show about these things and I get evaluated. Ben Roethlisberger had to do it.
Is it best or greatest?
It just says rank the quarterbacks.
I'm gonna rank them. You do it how you want. I'm gonna rank them. This is how I'm gonna do it. For me, I think it is. I think it's Eli, Ben, then Philip Rivers. This is why. Eli Manning comes into the draft saying, "I am not playing for the Chargers. That ain't happening." Then Archie comes out and goes, "Listen, I just support my son, but don't ask me no questions." And then so Philip Rivers was number 4. Obviously, Eli Manning was number 1, and they flip-flop. Then you think about Ben Roethlisberger, I think he was like 10 or 11. Both Ben Roethlisberger went to 3 Super Bowls, won 2. Eli Manning went to 2, and obviously won 2. Eli Manning did it against the GOAT. Eli Manning was going up against like out of this world circumstances because he brought so much attention to himself by saying, "I'm not gonna play." So you hope that he was gonna they was gonna reap the benefit of what he did in New York. I think while Pittsburgh is the most storied franchise, I think a harder situation being the number 1 overall pick. Can you live up to it? And I'm sorry, I am the brother of Peyton Manning, and they always saying, "Oh, you the little brother Eli." Well, me and my brother both got 2 Super Bowls, except I played in 2, my brother played in 3, and I did what my brother couldn't do, and that's beat Tom Brady. So I would go Eli 1, Ben Roethlisberger 2, even though Ben Roethlisberger never had a losing season in 18 years. And I'm sorry, Philip, I love you, Philip Rivers, right? And congratulations on your new baby if you are having another child, which seem to have a child, a year. But BJ, you never won the Super Duper, and you had LaDainian Thomas, and you had that defense. Eli, Big Ben, Philip Rivers.
Yeah, I love Philip Rivers too, and it feels wrong to put him number 3 on a list of 3 quarterbacks given what he did. But the Super Bowls are the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go Philip Rivers 3. Yes, him doing it the way Kevin wants. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go Philip Rivers 3. I think it's Eli 2. Eli obviously he went toe-to-toe with Brady, but I think there was a little more inconsistency overall. Big Ben, 18 seasons? Like you said, not once did you have a losing season. That's incredible. So I will go Big Ben 1. Is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? I don't know, but I think I would go Roethlisberger, Manning. That is a great point, though, about Manning had to do it with the pressure of being Peyton Manning's brother, and you were able to do that. But I'll go Roethlisberger, Manning, and then Rivers. Rivers was great, but didn't have the postseason success.
Yeah, I think I'll go Eli Manning, Big Ben, and Philip Rivers. I mean, Philip Rivers is going to be last on that list every time just because, what was the legacy of Philip Rivers? Bunch of yards, bunch of touchdown passes, bunch of fourth quarter. It always seemed like San Diego had to come back in the fourth
Tony
quarter.
Romo.
And couldn't get there.
Bunch of yards.
Couldn't get to the big game. And so I think that's going to put him last on that list. The differentiation, I think I kind of agree with Ben, is look, you're Eli Manning, you're in New York, and your brother might be, if it weren't for Tom Brady, from a pure quarterbacking standpoint, your brother might be the GOAT.
Yeah.
From a pure, just a straight quarterbacking standpoint. And so Big Brother's over there breaking records, slinging the thing. He's out here calling Omaha. And you do ESPN commercials. You're viewed as a little brother. He's giving you, wet willies on Sports Center. It's like, and you go out and win 2 Super Bowls.
He did. He did. He did do that.
He
did.
You are getting done by your older brother in the sports, and he won 2 Super Bowls. I'll say Eli Manning. I'll give him tops on that list. I can only, and again, we talk about this like your dad is Archie. Your dad is Archie. Your brother is Peyton. You're Eli Manning. You now have won 2 Super Bowls. Your brother won 2 Super Bowls. Your dad's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
If he would have gone to,
and oh, by the way, who has a more unfortunate name? Manning, Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, or the newest Arch? You're named after Archie Manning.
Yep.
If Eli would have gone to San Diego and Phillip Rivers maybe would have gone to New York, what do you think would have happened?
I don't know. I mean,
you can't do that.
I mean, you can't. But I will say this. I mean, as a person that lived up there in New Jersey, New York area, and I understand it how hard it is. Like when I'm not taking nothing away from Big Ben and Pittsburgh, but you in a state and a media market that matter everything. I mean, Eli got talked about every day, every single good, bad, right. And Tiki Barber, Mr. Tiki Barber said, "Yeah, man, when I was in the huddle, they was kind of laughing at Eli." So he retires, and what does Eli do the next year? They win the Super Bowl.
Is Rivers the Hall of Famer with those other guys?
BJ, I will say this. Listen, I mean, listen.
You say
BJ,
no?
No. This thing. I mean, are the stats?
In which you played,
yeah, because I would say this, BJ.
All those guys, he didn't win.
Because listen, if Phillip Rivers gets in, what about a bunch of other guys that got a bunch of yards and didn't have no Super Bowl? You open up the floodgates. Listen, either it's the Super Bowl gets you in because that's how you judge the quarterbacks, or we start moving the goalposts for guys like Phillip Rivers. I mean,
don't think it's 100% the Super Bowl gets you in, but I think as I've always said when it pertains to like baseball, it's where do you rank in the era in which you played? And the era in which he played, unfortunately for him, had Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, had Tom Brady, had Aaron Rodgers. Were you better than any of those guys? Drew Brees
and all those guys. Listen, and the thing, if it's once again, I go back to the list. Listen, man, we're doing an invite only, man. Super Bowl winning quarterback. Phillip can play for real.
Well, he would not be on that.
No. But think about who's there. Think about who's there. Trent Dilfer's in there. Joe Flacco's in there, right?
They are not Hall of Fame.
No. They're Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. They're Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Brad Johnson is in there. Phillip, what you doing? Nah, man, I thought y'all might have had an extra seat. No. We Kevin Thomas he's gonna be doing it. He's the announcer for the night. Get out. No, I'm just saying, BJ, we can't start doing that for the guys that had he had a hell of a career, and he had LaDainian Tomlinson too, a regular season MVP who broke Marshall Faulk record, and you still didn't get it done. Antonio Cromartie, 10 picks. Come on, man. They gave him too much, man. Come on, man.
All right, moving on. Take 2. The Denver Broncos have hired former Packers offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. A lot of folks think maybe in an effort to get Aaron Rodgers to go to the Mile High City. Do you think Aaron Rodgers ultimately follows his former offensive coordinator to Denver?
I don't know. Some of the money, Ben, you were talking about earlier, I guess you saw something where at least there are reports, rumors, efforts, desires to maybe give Aaron Rodgers 2 years, $100 million guaranteed. That's pretty hard to top. Now, Denver, a lot of people have said, well, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to go to a bad team at the end of his career. Well, if Aaron Rodgers is on your team, you're not a bad team. So I think if Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver, they're not the Super Bowl favorite, but you get a free agent, you make a couple of nice draft picks with Aaron Rodgers, you're looked at as a playoff team. I mean, you're looked at as a playoff team, I think. But in terms of turning down that kind of money at a place where you're already, have a legacy, I think it's hard to predict what Aaron Rodgers is going to do. But if you're saying they're talking about that kind of money to extend instead of go somewhere new and start over, if they're talking about that kind of money, I think Green Bay's the favorite.
I will say this. I ain't count nobody's money. It has been estimated that I think they say Aaron Rodgers made like $265 million since he's been in the NFL. So it's not like he's serving cheese. And unfortunately, you see him all over TV. He's on national commercials, right? He gets endorsement money. At this point in his career, he's chasing legacy, right? He's not chasing the money. Now, you talk about a rebuild. This what they got it. This is what we got to work with on offense. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant. I think he can do with those guys out there in Denver. And plus, the thing about it is too, don't Green Bay deserve to just? They tired of dealing with him as a diva. He's a diva, man. He is. Aaron Rodgers want to go somewhere. He want to take his discount double out there to Mile High. Gonna have to get used to the altitude. But y'all know he's a lot to deal with. Aaron Rodgers is the guy. There was a guy on this old commercial back in the day. They would ask him about this team, he'll say, it ain't my fault. Won't you? Hey, Aaron, tell us about the fumble. What about the other 10 guys that could have jumped on the fumble? I can't do everything. Aaron Rodgers, I think, wants out of Green Bay. Green Bay's going to make an offer, but Aaron Rodgers going to call old Peyton Manning and say, hey, man,
Okay.
you went on out there, man. How is it out there? Now, he don't got Von Miller, but he got Bradley Chubb. You know, so I just think that he knows if my old offensive coordinator is not a head coach and I know I got some sway with that guy, I get to kind of call the plays that I want. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be wearing that orange and blue out there with them Denver Broncos.
I don't think ultimately it ends up that way. I think he got just as good a chance to go back and try it one more time, even though there's a lot of animosity. It's like, look at how much love Dick Ben is getting for being a one franchise quarterback.
Oh, that lifer thing is serious.
That does. I mean, I think they said he is like the first guy to ever play 18 years for one franchise.
Yep.
Like in the entirety of the NFL quarterback.
Wow.
It doesn't happen. I mean, Joe Montana.
Kansas
Went
City.
to Kansas City. Look at Tom Brady. I mean, Matt Ryan, he may not make it.
Matt Ryan, don't do nothing crazy.
I'm saying people want to kick him out.
Hey,
you got 1 year left.
Listen, Matt Ryan, do the Roddy White. They wanted Roddy White to end his career and go over to New Orleans. Don't you do that, Matty Ice. Don't you put on that goal. Don't do it.
All right, take 3. Rank the uniforms. 4 remaining playoff teams. If we had to decide it based off, how the uniforms look.
Yes. Number 1, San Francisco. Classic, right up there with the Cowboys and the Raiders. Classic. As a kid, I loved Cincinnati's uniforms growing up, and they've changed them around a little bit, but I still love them. The helmets are just so creative. They're so cool. So I'm going to go Bengals, number 2. Number 3, I guess, I'm trying to forget who else.
Rams.
I got the Rams. And the
Chiefs.
Chiefs. Yeah, I'll go Chiefs 3. I mean, and then the Rams, I don't know, man, the Rams logo just looks weird. It's like the horn doesn't connect. I mean, Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs helmets, they don't have anything written on so like they have like the big kind of, I guess, I don't even know what the right phraseology is, like the big top part of the face mask kind of stands out on the helmet. But the Chiefs, the Rams just doesn't look right to me. The logo doesn't. I mean, I like the colors, but the logo doesn't look right. It does. You don't understand what I'm saying?
They look like ram horns, man.
Not to me. It looks. It looks. I don't know. Cam, you know what I'm. I mean, not like up close and yeah. Thank you, Cam. Saying they look weird. So I will go. Trying to remember what I just said. San Francisco, Cincinnati, Kansas City, L.A.
Of course, it's San Francisco first. I mean, San Francisco has those classics, like you mentioned. The Dallas and the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, which is crazy. They in Vegas now. I think the Rams are number 2. When they went that gold and that blue, it's nice, man.
Fade kind of change
color.
color.
The white, it looked like the helmet is like a different color white than the actual jersey. But I do like that blue, and I guess it's yellow, that blue and yellow. And then it's just a battle of the. I mean, I'm gonna go with Cincinnati 3 because at least Cincinnati they can they want to come up with that all orange with the orange jersey with the black. I said out there looking like Oklahoma State. Hey, I think they look good. And I'm sorry, the Chiefs, they just gave them some colors. Man, it's the Chiefs. Man, give them red. Is that gold or is it yellow? Is it yellow? Gold? Because I think the Rams are more gold.
I think it's yellow.
The Rams gold or yellow. It ain't that much different than
Kevin, what I'm trying to say, we need to look at this during the break, is the Ram, like the old Rams helmet. Cam knows that, like it was a cohesive, connected Ram. All right. The current one does not look that way. Like they don't meet.
Well, maybe they'll go back. We talking about the Rams when no one cared. Now they matter.
The great's show.
No
one cares.
And since the Greatest Show,
what is it?
No. Whoa. The Greatest Show was in 99, 2000. What has it been since? The TV does not work. You haven't been watching it.
They were in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago
and scored 3 points.
Were they in the Super Bowl?
That's
more
points than the Jaguars scored.
We scored more than 3 when we win. Know that?
Whoa.
And we scored more than 3. And listen, we scored more than 3 when we win. All I'm saying is Jared Goff. And what is Jared Goff's consolation prize for going to the Super Duper? He's in Detroit right now. But no, I'm just saying, hopefully, BJ, because they're a team that's like one of the best teams now consistently, they'll be able to go out there and get whatever the Ram, helmet, configuration. They'll get that right.
Yeah, this is not a great uniform matchup. I think.
You don't like San Fran?
No, San Francisco is 1, and then 2 is, and then we'll start at 3 and go from there. I mean, it's just not. I would put the Rams 3. I would put Kansas City 4 and Cincinnati 5. Never been a fan. And again, dude, there's
right.
Yes.
One, nobody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 1 is San Francisco. 2. Then you have the Rams, Kansas City, and Cincinnati. That's take 3. Do it every day. It's time. We'll come back. Jason Longshore going to join us when we return here on 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Good to have you back here, 3 and Out on this Thursday. Kevin, BJ, and Ben, glad you're making us a part of your day. World Cup qualifying resuming tonight for the men's national team. And joining us here from Soccer Down Here and from the Atlanta United Radio Network, Jason Longshore joining us. Jason, how's it going?
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, doing fantastic. Obviously, there's 3 games in this window. What does Team USA need to do to make sure they're in here as the qualifying continues?
I think they've got to win their home games. You get 6 points out of the window, and you've got one more home game left in March, you're in. I think 9 points is kind of that magic number that it's going to be hard for them to miss out if they finish with that. If they go to Canada and get a point or even pull an upset, which it's probably about a 50-50 game, then they could be in a position where you can basically book your ticket at the end of this window. But look, it starts tonight. It's a game where they're favored. It's a game against a team that has to win to have any hope of staying alive. And it's a game that the U.S. should get out and control from the jump. They need to take full advantage of the home field advantage tonight.
What's the anxiety level, I guess, given that you didn't make the last World Cup? I know you're in a good position, but is there more confidence or hesitation when you think about the men's national team in the World Cup?
You know, it's weird. I think it depends on who you talk to. I think these players feel a lot of confidence because it's such a young group. A lot of them weren't part of the last qualification process. I think anybody who was part of that 2018 cycle does feel the anxiety of missing out, but you're in a really good position, so you should be able to push that aside. I think with the fan bases where maybe the anxiety is the highest, any little slip, and I think there's a little bit of a freak out when it comes to the people who follow this team on social media, but they're in a good position. The biggest thing that makes it tricky is Panama has surprised everybody, and Panama is right there. You've got 4 teams for 4 spots. Costa Rica upsets Panama tonight, then they get back into the mix, but it probably secures the U.S. a top 3 spot in an automatic qualification if they win tonight. It's a situation where I don't think there should be anxiety because this is a much stronger team than it was 4 years ago, but you just have to take care of business and finish this thing out.
Jason, when you think about, when you talk about the pressure, you talk about this being a total different team than 4 years ago. What is it about when we get to talking about the World Cup? I mean, we understand that everybody's watching. This is the best teams, across the world. But what is it about, USA when you think about the fact that, yes, they try to make things favorable. I'm going back to Trinidad and Tobago. I'm talking to BJ. He says there is no way we lose to Trinidad and Tobago. What happens when it comes to teams they should beat to qualify? They find themselves on the losing end.
You know, I think some of it is the change in where U.S. soccer is now than it was 4 years ago, definitely like 8, 12, 16 years ago, where now the U.S. comes into games against an El Salvador, against the Trinidad and Tobago 4 years ago, where they are the favorite. And there's always, I think, a challenge for U.S. teams when they go into Central America and they play in CONCACAF, because even when the U.S. wasn't a team that everybody feared, where they were pretty good, maybe plucky upstarts or something like that, you still had some of the political aspects of it, where these teams beating the U.S. is everything to them. It's their World Cup final. It's their Super Bowl. So everybody's up to play the U.S. Now you get everybody's best game because there is a respect level. There's a little bit of a fear when you look at players like Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie playing in some of the biggest clubs in the world. These other clubs in CONCACAF don't have that. So they're jacked up for these games. But that changes the mentality for the U.S. because now you have to play as a favorite. And we know in any sport, there's a different mentality where you have that expectation on your back that you're supposed to win this game. That can be a huge challenge for a young team. I think these guys have kind of gotten through that 8 games into the cycle, and now they can just play and take care of business.
You mentioned Pulisic. If the USA makes the World Cup, obviously trying to do that now, who are the players that fans need to know about that are going to be important through this qualifying finish?
I think so far, the 2 guys that a lot of people have zeroed in on are Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie. Being at Chelsea and Juventus, 2 of the biggest clubs in the world, will do that. But I think some of the guys to get to know that are going to have a huge role in this, Up top, Brendan Aronson, who's at Red Bull Salzburg, who's being linked with moves to the English Premier League. Started his career in Major League Soccer with Philadelphia. He has really burst onto the scene in the last 12 months. Ricardo Pepi, who started his career at FC Dallas, is now in the German Bundesliga at Augsburg for a large transfer fee that just went down in the past month. Pepi is one of the bright young stars for the U.S., and being a little bit of a homer here, I think Miles Robinson is somebody that fans across the country have to get to know a little bit better. He came into this past year, as somebody who was trying to earn a spot in the national team pool and earn some starts, to where now going into 22, he's the best center back in the United States pool. He is the best center back that the United States has, and he's only going to continue to grow from here.
Jason Longshore, Soccer Down here in the Atlanta United Radio Network. And Jason, MLS, a month from today, season kicking off. What is it looking like there for Atlanta United as they enter the preseason here?
So excited to get this thing underway because of how Atlanta United finished in the second half last year. When Gonzalo Pineda took over, Atlanta United from that day forward was one of the best teams in MLS. It also coincided with adding the Brazilian Luis Araújo up top, one of the most explosive players that Major League Soccer has to offer. Atlanta's played one preseason game. It was a short one. It was a 60-minute match, 2 30-minute halves against a local team from Carrollton, the Georgia Storm. And Atlanta looked pretty good in that for 1 week of training. Now, Sunday, they go to Athens at the UGA soccer complex. They're going to play another local team, the Georgia Revolution of the NPSL. That's one more opportunity early in preseason to start to build the fitness, but also build some of the concepts of the way this team will play. They go to Mexico for a couple of weeks. They play 3 different opponents down there, and then they finish preseason in Birmingham against USL Championship team Birmingham Legion on February 20th before the home opener on February 27th.
So a lot to come here before you get to that home opener. As we mentioned, Jason Longshore Jordan is here on 3 and Out. Jason, appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate it. Jason Longshore Jordan is here on 3 and Out as, again, men's national team back in action. And, of course, Atlanta United coming up in the next month with the start of the MLS season. We got more to come here on 3 and Out, and we'll have a debut of a brand new game to test our head, our mind, and our brains. And we'll do that next. It's 3 and Out on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Welcome back, 3 and Out here on the Southern Pigskin Radio Network. Kevin Thomas, BJ Bennett, Ben Troop. Glad you're with us. And apparently time for the debut of a new segment. Do you know what you think you know? I don't know if I do know. I'm thinking I don't know what I do think I do know. And
You
we'll
don't
go
know
from
what you
there.
think you do know, but you don't know that either.
We'll do that. And bring us in to help us usher in this new game, host of Second Down, Christian Gokel, laid on us. What are we? Because anytime you get something new from Christian, he's always cagey, but he's like, no, you'll see. You'll see. Don't worry about it. Does he not do that? It's like, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll do it on the show. So we have no idea what we're doing. Lay it on us, Christian.
I feel like I just live rent-free in Kevin's head. I don't know that I'm cagey. I just think Kevin gets worried about me.
I don't. Lay it on us what we're doing.
All right, so it's pretty simple. Players are going to go one at a time. You have 7 questions each. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through one at a time, and you're going to get a chance to answer. And the cool thing about this is there's no negative points, right? So if you get it right, you get a point. If you don't get it right, it's not going to take anything away. It's a 0, okay? So we're going to go through one at a time. Now, there's going to be one question each round that I'm going to let you know, you don't know which one it is, that you can throw at an opponent of your choice. And if they get it wrong, it's -2 points for them. They get it right. If they get it right, 0 points. They just stay even, okay? So you have one of those sabotage ones per round. And then after you go all the way through yours, if you get some wrong, the other opponents will have a chance to go back and try to answer those correctly. So you guys with me?
Yeah, I got you. Answer the question
All right,
or pass it.
All right, so to determine who goes first, I'm just going to kind of do a tip-off here. You guys jump in. First one to answer gets to go first. Who was last year's Super Bowl MVP?
Tom Brady.
There you go, Kevin. You're going first. All right, here we go, Kevin. And again, nobody can jump in. I know you get worried. I know you get worried about people jumping in and you don't like going fast. We're just going to go nice and easy here. The way we're doing this is we're going by your strength. So, Kevin, your strength is professional baseball.
Okay.
So we're going to go through some pro baseball questions. I got 7 here for you.
All right.
Who has the most wins as a pitcher in Braves history?
Like just for the Braves or somebody who played for the Braves in their career?
Just for the Braves.
Warren Spahn.
That is correct. That's a point
What
for Kevin.
in the world?
All right, Kevin, yours comes up quickly. This is your sabotage question. So I'm going to read you the question, and if you feel like you can do some damage to BJ or Ben, you can pass it off to them.
Okay.
Which switch hitter has the most career home runs in Major League Baseball history?
That would be Mickey Mantle.
Okay, so you're not passing that one off. Kevin now has 2 points. All right. Out of Tom Glavine, John Smoltz, and Greg Maddux, who had the most wins for the Braves?
That would be Tom Glavine.
That is correct. Kevin is 3 for 3. See, you were worried about this. What inning did David Ortiz hit his walk-off home run against the Yankees in Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS?
That was extra inning, so it's I'm going to say the 10th inning.
That is incorrect. So we're going to circle back to that one. Let me put a little boop dash right there. All right. Question 5. Who is Major League Baseball strikeout leader all time?
That'd be Nolan Ryan.
That is correct. Which pitcher threw a no-hitter while on acid in 1970?
Oh, gosh. And they did a 30 for 30 on this guy. Oh, my. I can't remember his name. I'm going to have to just give a non-answer because I can't remember. But, yeah, they did a 30 for 30 on it. Yeah, threw a no-hitter on acid. I don't have an answer.
All right, Kevin's final question here. Kevin's final question. This player led the majors in home runs and RBIs in 2021.
Homers and RBI. Homers and RBI. Oh, now I'm just thinking like every stinking baseball player that's ever played last year. And it's like,
remember, you don't get any negative points for a wrong answer.
I know, but I want to try to make it right. Most homers.
Well, that's the point of the game. Yeah.
I'm like running through the team Rolodex in my brain all the way around.
This is invigorating radio.
Yeah, it's not. I'm wrong. I'm going to say Shohei Ohtani. That's wrong.
That is incorrect as well. You had one that you passed on. Do you want to go back to tell us which pitcher threw a no hitter on LSD?
No, because I just can't think of it. I will think of it
so
as soon as you say.
After Kevin's turn, he has 4 points. We're going to go to Ben next because we're going to go in alphabetical order. Ben, are you ready?
Nope. Let's go.
Actually, I take that back. Does anybody want to try to answer any of the ones that Kevin got wrong?
The one about the picture on it, I have no idea about that. Home run.
What inning did David Ortiz hit his walk-off home run against the Yankees in Game 4 of the 2004 ALCS?
The 9th?
That was incorrect. Ben?
That would be the 8th inning.
Well, they played a full 9 and then extra innings. That was the 12th. That was the 12th inning that he hit it. And then does anybody know who led the majors in home runs or RBIs in 2021? I'm trying to tell you, there's only two things this show cares about: college football and the Atlanta Braves. Salvador Perez from the Kansas City Royals.
Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't.
All right, so Kevin got 4 points there. You guys are both at even right now. Ben, your first question. Who's the NFL's all-time leading tackler? We're going NFL for Ben, by the way. That's your strength.
All-time leading tackler?
Yes.
Ray Lewis.
That is correct. Sorry, I should have said it. Ben's strength, pro football. So we're going pro football with Ben here. Tom Brady has a career win percentage of 76%. Only one active quarterback with a minimum of 10 starts has a higher winning percentage than Tom Brady. Who is it?
Active quarterback?
Yep.
Russell Wilson.
That is incorrect. All right, Ben, this is your sabotage question. So to explain this one again, you don't have to answer this question. After I ask you, you can pass it off to someone else. If they get it wrong, it's -2 points. All right? So Tony Gonzalez is the all-time leading receiver at tight end in NFL history. Who's number 2?
Larry Fitzgerald.
Tony Gonzalez is the all-time leading receiver at tight end.
Sorry. You talking about it? I'm sorry. You talking about a tight end?
Okay, but one more time, Ben. One more time. You don't have to answer this. If you think you can hurt BJ or Kevin by passing this question,
I'm trying. Hold on.
I'm gonna blame. Hold on. I'm gonna blame some internet interference here.
Yeah, it was in. Yeah, you was breaking up. Go ahead.
All right, so Tony Gonzalez is the all-time leading receiver at tight end in NFL history. Who is number 2? You don't have to answer. You can pass that off.
I can't. Oh, Jason Witten.
All right, Jason Witten. That is correct. All right. Who is the all-time leading passer in Titans/Oilers franchise history?
Warren Moon.
That is correct. Who was the Patriots head coach prior to Bill Belichick?
Parcells.
That is incorrect. I'm going to mark that one down. The Super Bowl, I'm thinking still on the last question. This Super Bowl featured the most combined yards in a game in NFL history.
Can I give you the teams? I can't remember the number.
Yeah, you can give me the teams. That's fine.
It was I'm gonna say New England versus Philly.
That is correct. They combined for 1,151 yards in the Super Bowl. All right. And then finally, this player scored the final touchdown of the season for the Titans in 2005.
I believe you're on that team.
That would be me. That would be me.
Do you remember who you scored it against?
I scored it against Jacksonville. We got the hell beat out of us, but I did score it against Jacksonville.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, so Ben got 5 points there. Ben, you are currently in the lead, but you missed 2 there. So Kevin and BJ, Tom Brady has a career winning percentage of 76%. Only one active quarterback has a higher winning percentage, minimum of 10 starts. That is correct. That's correct.
Man, I'm tripping.
BJ on the board.
Finish the question, but
And then, who was the Patriots head coach prior to Bill Belichick?
Pete Carroll?
That's correct. BJ, racking it up here. All right, BJ, here we go. Anybody care to guess what BJ's strength is?
Soccer.
That would be soccer. That would be arts and crafts.
I should have absolutely gone with collages and U.S. men's soccer. BJ, first question, SEC career completions leader.
Aaron Murray.
That is correct. 921. You guys know who number 2 was? This is just for fun. It'll be Chris Leak.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
All right. Number 2. Who was Oregon's starting quarterback when they lost to Auburn in the 2010 national championship?
Duron Thomas.
That is correct. ACC's second all-time leading rusher behind Travis Etienne.
Is it Ted Brown?
That is correct. Which schools, there's 2 of them, have the most Sunbelt championships?
Of current Sunbelt teams or all time?
Yes. No, it doesn't matter, current, former, they have the most.
Ooh, that's because we've had some. Good question. Let's see. I don't know. I kind of feel like it depends on how long they were there. Middle Tennessee one?
That is incorrect. Bama and LSU wide receivers make up the top 6 spots on the SEC single-season receiving yards list. The first SEC East receiver comes in at number 7 with 1,517 yards. Who is he?
First SEC East receiver, you said?
Yep, comes in all the way down at number 7.
Wow. Let's see. Is it Jordan Matthews?
That is incorrect. He is top 10, though. All right, BJ, this is your sabotage question. Once again, you are tied with Ben right now with 5. When I ask and if they get it wrong, it's minus 2 points. All right?
All right.
2 players in the 2006 Rose Bowl between Texas and USC had 3 touchdowns. Vince Young was one. Who was the other?
Lindell White?
That is correct. 2 more. That's another point for BJ. And final question here. How many semifinal losses in the college football playoffs does the SEC have?
Wow. Good question. Alabama lost 1.
1 is correct. All right. So the only person who has a chance to come back here is Ben. Kevin, you unfortunately are out of the running here. You have 2 questions here, Ben. If you get them right, you can tie, or you can tie BJ. Which 2 schools have the most Sunbelt championships?
Oh Lord, I forgot who you gonna say it first. Louisiana.
That is
And
incorrect. Kevin, you want to guess?
I was going to say Memphis and Arkansas State.
You got one of them. Arkansas State and Troy are both tied with 6 conference championships. And then finally here, let's see if we can get this one. Bama and LSU wide receivers make up the top 6 spots in the SEC single-season receiving yards list. The first SEC East receiver comes in at number 7 with 1,517 yards. Who was he?
1,517.
This is for a single season?
Yep.
For a single season.
Trying to think who would have caught enough balls to get that many.
Man.
Played for Ben's old coach.
I was about to say, Jacquez Green.
That'd be Alshon Jeffrey.
Alshon.
Cam got it.
Alshon of South Carolina. He was a beast, though. Alshon. My fault. Alshon. Okay.
So there we go. BJ, congratulations. Domination.
BJ, winner of the inaugural. Do you think you know what you actually know? He does. And, well, I finished last. It is what it is. We got more to come. 3 and Out, Southern Pigskin Radio Network.